Welcome to Fort Worth 148's podcast, where we meet to discuss Masonic topics and strive to build value in the brotherhood. The opinions and statements of the participants do not represent any positions or stance of any Grand Lodge or Lodge and are solely the viewpoints of the participants. Welcome back to the podcast, brothers. This is Rhit Moore, past master of Fort Worth 148.
This is Billy Hamilton, senior warden for Fort Worth 148.
This is Gabriel Jagush, junior warden, and we would like to welcome an addition to our hosting crew.
My name is Evve Kuykendall. I am the current master of ceremonies for Fort Worth 148.
And we also have a special guest with us tonight, one of the Texas MasoniCon event staff, one of the Fort Worth Lodge henchmen, Mark McCaghren. What do you do for Fort Worth Lodge, Mark?
I am the current treasurer at Fort Worth 148.
Keeper of the keys.
The money man.
The money man.
Which, did y'all notice how smooth my entry was there? No mess up for secretary or anything. It's like I've been doing it that way forever.
Can't have that. I'm going to put you back in the office.
Yeah. David Bindle gave me a little bit of a ribbon about it. He's like, yeah, I noticed you try to say it a few times.
I like it.
So let's introduce our new host a little bit better. Brother Evve is coming on the show to assist us in the duties of the podcast and take the conversations, I don't know, deeper, maybe. Just a little more breath. So, Evve,
no pressure.
Yeah, no pressure at all. So give us a rundown on your Masonic journey thus far, when you're raised, that kind of stuff. Where?
Well, my Masonic journey started a couple of years ago when I was living in McKinney. I was raised in McKinney, St. John's 51. Big shout out to those guys for putting up with me. And I started there. I was having a great time there. And then my job brought me to Fort Worth.
Sweet. So that leads right in the next question. Well, what drew you to 148?
For Masonic lodges, we all know that the vibe of a lodge is really important. And I think that the character of 148 was something that really drew me in. It had a really diverse group of guys that had diverse interests, different backgrounds, different, lives altogether. And I knew that kind of when I sat down and stated meeting for the first time that it was going to be a good fit for me.
Sweet. Well, obviously you have fit in well. I mean, you're on the show, man. That's a somewhat of a tip of the hat, I guess. So
I've definitely appreciated it. It's been fun being an active member of 148. I mean, it's lots of opportunities to make a difference, and that's really what's been the biggest driving force for me so far.
Yeah, and I think the thing that for all of us, I can't speak for Dave and Billy, in particular, but for me especially, I'm always impressed to see Masons come in and just get after it, to go after what they enjoy in Lodge and just make it their own. And I mean, you came in with the afterburners on because so many guys come to Lodge and they're just like waiting. It seems like they're waiting for somebody to tell them what to do, or they act like they don't know where help is needed kind of thing. And then there's guys that just come in and start filling holes.
The biggest example that I feel that we see is not even so much that they're waiting to be told what to do or find an opportunity. It feels like a lot of Masons are waiting for something to happen. Anything. Just something. Because nothing's been happening, And they're waiting for just some sort of thing to happen.
Well, on the way home, actually, from the temple today, I was talking to my son, and we were talking about how many Masons, are who they receive the degrees and they go home and you almost never see them in Lodge again. And then you have some who show up and sit on the sides. And I'm like, that's nice. And, I'm happy for their contribution in terms of dues money, but I would much rather that they actually participated. The participation, I think, is what is really missing there. And I know, Evie, I'm thankful for your participation in Lodge all the time. You're one of those guys who stands up and does what needs to be done.
Yeah, you might get I'm going to need some prompting, but he'll get up and give a hand. And that's what it's all about.
I'm willing to get up and make a fool out of myself at a ritual. I mean, hey, who isn't these days?
Yeah, we all do that.
So, last one I've got for you. I wanted to ask you which category you fall in as far as, ranked on your Masonic value list. You've got the esoteric and philosophical Mason, the ritualist, the historical Mason, the charitable activities, or the fellowship/social aspect. What would you say your top?
As I was kind of thinking about that, knowing that this question was probably going to be posed, I hate to cop out on it, but I can't say that there's one that I could say that is more important to me than another. I kind of look at these four, kind of attributes that we kind of are ranking here, and I kind of looked at it like it's each one of these are attributes and things that I look for in a lodge, and I think that it should be every Mason's duty or obligation, or maybe obligation is a little bit of a strong word in context, but that everybody should seek to balance these four aspects of being a Mason out, and the ideal should be, to be like a Renaissance Mason, where all of these things are working in harmony together to create the perfect square, if you will, of whereby there's not one area of Freemasonry that's any bigger or greater in your life than another. If I'm being less get out of the question kind of a behavior here, I would say that most of the reason that I became part of Freemasonry to begin with had a lot to do with the esoteric philosophy side of things. I was interested in it in Masonry whenever I was younger, in my 20s, in the Air Force. Some guys that I knew, and I was really interested in that at that time. But because of the lifestyle of someone who's active duty military, the financial obligations, the time obligations, it just wasn't the right time for me in my early 20s. So future being, kind of zipping along, I was dealing with some health issues, specifically PTSD from the time that I was in the military. And my doctor told me as part of my treatment plan that she wanted me to go out and do things that I'd always wanted to do and that I was challenged by. And being social was something that I was extremely challenged by. I'm not going to lie. It's a very isolating condition. So I went out and remember, I'd always wanted to be a Mason. I was literally working across the street from the McKinney Masonic Temple. And I literally just emailed one day. I was like, hey, I want to be a Mason. The secretary emailed me back and was like, hey, come up to dinner. And that's really how I became a Freemason. So it's, that was what the esoteric and philosophical side definitely drew me to it. But it's, a constellation of personal issues that led me to actually, knocking on the door of Freemason.
Yeah. No, I like that answer. I was going to gig you for copping out, but I like it because you're right. I do believe that a good lodge is going to have a little bit of each of those aspects. A lodge that's just purely ritualist, it doesn't seem like that's going to last far into the future. It might be good for 10 or 20 years, but eventually you're going to run out of ritualists. They're not that plentiful.
Right. Well, and I think every aspect, if you're really a Freemason, I mean, if you're into, being a Freemason, there's inherently the social and, charitable side of it. But if you're doing a ritual, you're studying the esoteric and philosophical. If you're doing ritual, you're also studying the historical side of things. So you really can't avoid being a part of any of these things. You might enjoy one a little bit more than another, but by and large, it's a fourfold kind of thing. You're in for a penny, you're in for a pound.
Yeah, I never thought about it that way, that if you're studying ritual, you're actually studying history, because you're reaching back pretty far. You know, that ritual, it's pretty old.
And that's one of the things that I thought was really interesting as I was thinking about this, was that is, if we think about, because I know that we're going to be talking about Texas MasoniCon here not shortly. And I think that this is one of those areas where if you are a Mason and you are interested in any of these aspects of Freemasonry, that Texas MasoniCon was a perfect representation of that. So
what? That's right, boy.
What?
Yeah. I love it. So glad to have you on the show, and we'll baptize you by fire by getting this episode rolling. Before we do, though, I've got a quick discussion question for you, Gabe. How was officer leadership training? You went to Dallas one, right?
Yes, I went to the Officer Leadership Training 201 class in Dallas, or more accurately, Garland, at Hella Shrine, and it was pretty good. I liked it a lot. There was a lot of stuff that was kind of common sense, right? It was still very valuable, especially in terms of the group workshop sessions. So for those of you who have never attended a Texas officer leadership training, they used to be called Masters and Wardens Retreats.
Wardens Retreats.
Or just Wardens Retreats. And they're based off of a program that came from California. Because one of our past Grand Masters visited one of these things in California, saw it, and went, oh my gosh, why aren't we doing that? And he was totally right. They give you all these problems. Each table is assigned, like a table master and a table secretary, and y'all make a decision as a table on what course of action to take with a theoretical problem that is presented to you by the committee, the Education and Service Committee. And what's neat is that a lot of the scenarios that they put you in have really happened to real lodges. And so it's your goal to figure out, hey, where do we go from here? So very worthwhile. Excellent to meet up with other guys that are passionate about leadership and being strong leaders in their lodges. So very, very good time. I enjoyed it a lot.
Yeah, I think, and everybody I talk to, same way. The group activities are just magical. I mean, you get to learn the nuances of the law, with other brethren sitting around the table, because they give you plenty of time to do the activity and, rib the, each other and the law a little bit, to where it's like, oh my gosh, can you believe this?
Absolutely.
And you get to work through that and kind of figure out how to navigate that thing, because it'll keep you out of trouble.
So, Gabriel, did you bring your laptop?
I did not bring my laptop.
Oh, so you were not secretary.
I was not secretary. It was a move that was actually not intentional. If I'd had my laptop, I would have brought it with me, because being secretary was kind of fun last year. But I accidentally destroyed my laptop by spilling water on it. So, woo, there we go.
So can you dip it in rice like you can cell phones?
I tried that, but no. Well, by I tried that, I mean I took the thing apart and put it under a fan. But I tried turning it on too soon, and it fried all the circuits. So. Sad
also, let the record show.
Rest in peace, Lappy.
Let the record show that Gabe said secretary was kind of fun. So let's keep that in mind.
Absolutely not. This is forbidden knowledge.
So I have to admit, both times I went, I brought my laptop, which means I was secretary. And yeah, it's actually kind of cool. The only thing about it, though, is a lot of times as secretary, you are focused on putting together the plans without necessarily getting to actually do the presentation.
Yeah.
Oh, I got to do several of our presentations, and that was a lot of fun. I had a blast with it.
No, it is a huge. I know the first. Well, no, it was this. It was the first time I took the 201 class. 6 of us went down from 148 to Corpus, and
first time. Wow.
Yeah. So we, on the way down, we talked about everybody sit at a different table kind of thing. And the next thing I knew, all the table masters in 201, or 3 of them were 148 guys, and 3 of them in the 101, they were table masters as well.
Also, I do want to give a shout out to my table number 6, because I have not asked permission from the brethren to disclose their names. I won't disclose their names for the sake of privacy, but you guys know who you are. Garland OLT, table number 6. I think we kicked butt. It was great. Y'all were a lot of fun. I'm glad I got your emails.
And guys, even if you're not an officer, you know, if you're thinking about it or just interested in masonry, go to one of these things. You won't regret it. If they're not full and you're a master mason, they're gonna welcome you. If your check cashes, you can go. You don't have to be a warden or an officer.
Yeah, I actually regret sitting this one out. Like, I wanted to go back through a second time because there is a lot of great information there.
Yep.
But unfortunately, I had another commitment.
Tons of good fellowship. All right, what are we going to talk about tonight, Gabe?
We are going to talk about Texas MasoniCon 2019 and how it went. The event autopsy.
Yeah, the juices are just now settling from all that. Man, that was a great time.
Oh, man. I had a blast.
Well, I know plenty of brothers out there who've been talking about all the speakers that we had still rumbling around in their brains, cooking on the information and the great education that was presented by all the presenters. I don't think anyone has had anything but great things to say about every presenter we had.
Right. Yeah. I haven't heard anything negative either. So
Neither have I.
yeah. So it sounds like everyone was happy, right? I mean,
yeah, I've heard
maybe we pulled off the impossible.
I've heard many say it was better than last year, and I was like, yes, that's what we were after.
Absolutely.
Yeah. I mean, I had a great time. Towards the beginning of it, I was busy having essentially a massive panic attack, you know, and somebody asked me, Gabe, how are you doing? And my response was, I no longer know the difference between excitement and anxiety. But it was a good time. It was a good time.
And that started on Friday night for you.
Oh, yeah. So we kicked the whole thing off with a Friday night festive board. We did it at Joe T. Garcia's, and kind of the way the budget worked out, I said, okay, hey, we have just enough to get everybody just enough wine to do the toasting program. And I mean, but really barely we squeaked by. And then everybody else bought their own drinks. It was just a format we were experimenting with, and we don't know yet what we'll do next year. This seemed like it worked very well. We really liked Joe T's. We will look into other venues, but Joe T's was a hit for sure.
Yeah.
So
the food
definitely
was outstanding.
It was so good, and there was so much of it.
I know.
I remember saying, "Oh yeah, like we have 46." We had like 46 people in attendance, and I said, "Okay, so we're gonna get 46 meals, obviously." Oh, that's what it was. We had 45, and I ordered one extra just in case. So I said, "Well, let's get 45 meals." And it's a combo plate number 2 or something like that, and it comes with enchiladas and chips and nachos and fajitas and all this stuff. And I very quickly realized that combo number 2 is really meant to be shared between 2 people. It was crazy. I was going, oh my God, there's so much food here. What do we do? And
we eat it.
But we did a toasting program. It was very fun. Some of the brethren were toasting with the Joe T's margaritas, which, for those of you who have not been to Joe T. Garcia's in Fort Worth, that is a dangerous idea. It's a fun idea, but do be advised, Joe T's makes their margaritas with Everclear. So if you have
liquid poison.
So if you have like 3 or 4 of their margaritas, you might be feeling really good. You might want a cab. But, I mean, it was a good time, and people really liked the toasting program. And we gave the team an opportunity to stand up and make some remarks, and the remarks were very well received, which I'm very happy about. people thought that it was really nice to interact with the team, and that it was very it was cool to have this like little intimate gathering, in this little restaurant, which, it's kind of hard to think of 45 people as an intimate gathering, but I mean, it really was compared to how many people were at the actual event.
Yeah,
absolutely.
No. Well, I have to say that that's one of my biggest regrets, is that I didn't get in early enough to get a ticket for that portion of the event. I'm kicking myself in the backside up to this point right now for not getting to go to that.
Well, you'll be there next year.
Right.
You darn tootin' I will be. I'm going to be buying those tickets early and often.
Yeah. It was a good time.
And for those who don't know about Joe T's, I mean, it's a very well-known Mexican food restaurant in Fort Worth, just outside the Stockyards.
Oh,
and
yeah.
The inside of the restaurant is very small. It was originally a house, but the back patio goes on forever, and it's very nice outdoor gardens. But we were lucky enough to have a little casita that was a private room just for us.
Yeah.
So while it was a really, really happening kind of be seen type of place on a Friday night in Fort Worth, we had our own kind of private venue. So,
dude, and how cool was it walking in all suited up with your brothers, walking past that line of people waiting for an hour, and you're just like escorted to the front.
It was so great. You're just like,
line was insane.
And it was the when I walked in this suit, and I went kind of traditional. I went like black tie, white shirt, black suit, which has become one of my favorite outfits, honestly. And maybe it's just the Templary getting to me, but it's a real clean cut. And I walk in, I'm wearing the shades, and I go, I'm with the Freemasons. And they just like, okay, right away. They knew exactly where to take me. So,
that's great.
And it was just like, how often do I get to be this cheesy and get taken seriously? Like, let's do this. Yeah, and it was cool to have, we didn't have a standard festive board layout because the room, it has two different levels, and there's like a little bit of a ramp in the middle. So we couldn't set up the traditional U shape, but we had two columns of circular tables in order to fit everybody in the room. And so you had everybody in the room, and then you had your own little groups at each table. And I got to sit down with, a number of guys, one of which was Paul Rana, one of our breakout speakers, and the other one was S. Brent Morris, our keynote speaker. And it was really cool because, Brent works in the House of the Temple all day in D.C., and I'm a plumbing designer by trade. And so he and I started talking about the plumbing design of the temple and like how their storm sewer system works and stuff, because they're renovating all of that. And I'm going, I'm in a happy place right now. This is so great. It was a little bit silly, but it was not particularly Masonic, but it had to do with my usual vocation. And I'm just like, this is amazing. I'm loving this dinner conversation.
Yeah, he was a phenomenal guy to get to know. That's no doubt.
Super chill.
Yeah. So before we get too deep into, I want to kind of tackle the first question here that we've got, that what is Texas MasoniCon, or what was the purpose of it? And the main reason we started Texas MasoniCon was to spread Masonic education. That was our main focus. And we knew that there was going to be some fellowship involved with it. But I don't think any of us were quite ready for the amount of fellowship and the buzz that was created, because the Masonic speakers that we're able to get, they're top notch. They've spent their lives researching this information, their Masonic lives anyways. And so we knew we had a hit there, but the fellowship and the bonds and the friends that Facebook friends that become real friends, it's a unique experience that is something we really are trying to hone in on and build as well, because the Masonic education comes with those speakers, but us providing that environment for fellowship in that day. Because fellowship, the festive board the night before, all that added up to something that just was something guys have really been looking for. So, knowing we've touched a nerve with that, we're going to build on that. And, with MasoniCon, of course, comes cost. And we may or may not have turned a profit. We're going to talk about that here in a minute this year. The first year we didn't, but we came close. And this year we had a little growth. But if we ever get to the point to where this is like a machine that makes money, it's only going to be reinvested back in itself to make it bigger and better for the next year. So it's not a fundraiser for our lodge per se. It's just an event that we hope that will fund itself and get bigger and better every year.
Absolutely. And it's a labor of love for us.
Mm-hmm. Yeah. I mean, we got the temple. Why not pimp it out?
Exactly.
So I guess Gabe, Billy, or Mark, any of y'all could take this question. So how long did it take us to plan, or how long were we working on MasoniCon 19?
I mean, we started shooting messages back and forth immediately after 2018 finished.
Yep.
So,
Yeah, well, I guess if it's any indicator, we started talking about next year while we were still at this year's event.
I was actively shooting messages to potential speakers, like while we were at the festive board at lunch during the event itself. But I think so. Probably about
it's
8 months. 8 months of planning for 2019.
Yeah, I would say we actively started, kind of late December, early January.
Yeah. Active is different. Yeah.
Yeah.
I would
That's
say
when the
January.
rubber started hitting the road. Yeah.
Oh no,
when
you're
we
right,
had
because
this-
we released the tickets, the early purchase tickets in January, so we really did get kicking in December.
Right.
Mhm.
Yeah, we opened up ticketing at Grand Lodge.
Yep.
Yeah, I think there's like a little bit of a flurry of activity immediately after the event happens, to where we set our date, we make sure that the reservation for the temple is done, we change the Facebook and website to reflect a new date, and then I think we get to kind of sit back and just send out feelers every once in a while as we book our lecturers, and then I guess it is about December or January when we really start hitting high gear.
Yeah. No,
The
we've
funny
got
thing is, I know that we've already been having conversations after MasoniCon 2019 for next year's MasoniCon. We've already started, having those offline conversations. So it seems like that it's still in that, we're still in that early brainstorming planning phase even at this point.
Yeah. No, there's no doubt. I mean, I've got a notebook full of ideas that we're going to brainstorm over on how to make it bigger and better and improve on it, because there's definitely a lot of room to improve. But, it is something that you're not going to be able to plan in 2 or 3 months. Not to that scale anyways. It's something that you're going to have to do the whole year, to get guys on your schedule and get things in order if you're going to market it the right way, because that's the biggest bulk of the work. I think the event day of is a lot of lifting and stuff like that, but it's also enjoying speakers. The work up to it is a frenzy.
Yeah.
But it's like Mark said, labor of love. So Gabe, you talked about texting speakers during MasoniCon. How do you go about identifying those?
Oh man, you just think about, hey, I ran into this guy and he was really fascinating to talk to, and I'd really like to hear him talk about this in person. That's kind of my main thought process there. A lot of it is, who do you know, and who do you know that would be, 1, interested in talking, 2, interesting to listen to, and 3, available, right?
Yeah.
And so there's guys from previous MasoniCons that I totally want to invite back, but we also do want to give an opportunity for newer speakers to come in before we start, doing repeats of older speakers. So,
Yeah.
and if, if we can get guys from the Masonic Education and Service Committee for the Grand Lodge of Texas to come and speak, then that's awesome, because that's already baked in, right?
Yeah.
So, this year we had Brother Kevin Main, all right, and he's on that committee. Last year we had Larry Fitzpatrick, and so he's on that committee as well. And all of these other guys, we're reaching out to that committee and a couple other committees that we know from like a Grand Lodge perspective. Hey, these guys their job literally is to provide education or guidance or whatever, right? And as the case may be. So that's an easy pool to text or reach out to or call. And then there's some guys where I'm like, hey, listen, like, I know you like the weird stuff. Come on. Let's talk about that.
Yeah. No, there's no doubt. I think you really touched on an important part of something I look for when identifying speakers is how are they to listen to? Because there's some very, very knowledgeable Masons out there that if you get them up there to speak, it's hard to listen to, especially if you're going on an all-day event. If you had back-to-back monotone speakers, guys aren't going to be having a good time. So they've got to bring a little bit of energy and engage the audience, which most speakers do. But that's something you want to identify. And, one of the biggest tools I use when identifying speakers too is, like you said, who do I know that I like to see speak? Well, ask them, who have they seen? And you'll get a list of 3 or 4 guys. So I've gotten a lot of leads that way, by talking to folks that I know, because we're lucky in the DFW area. In some way, we know somebody that's connected to all corners of the state. But if you're in Marfa, Texas, you might not have quite the connections, So maybe not who you know, but who do you know and who do they know? But that, identifying those speakers are important because, God bless them. You don't want to bring in a dud.
Well, I think we also have the advantage too that all of us are engaged in so many different aspects of Masonry that, like, when it comes to finding speakers outside our state, we usually have a fair number of connections to get, the really intriguing ones over, to come and talk to us.
Yeah.
So I think we have the advantage there.
There's no doubt. And if you go something big like this too, because when we're planning this, we can't bring in all speakers from out of state because that adds to the budget very quickly to fly people in.
Right.
So, you got to look for some local stars as well.
Yeah.
Which is really the point of Texas MasoniCon. But you got to bring in a big name.
Yeah, and that's one of the things that we did get some questions on, like, hey, why didn't you bring so-and-so, and why didn't you bring so-and-so? And, our realistic answer was, well, right now we're just trying to stay in the black. As soon as we're generating
and
enough...
I also think that there's a... Go ahead, Gabe. I'm sorry.
No, go for it.
Well, I was just going to say that one of the big things about Texas MasoniCon is that Texas is a big state, and there is so many resources here for, Masonic luminaries in our own state and in our own backyard, that I think that it's really problematic to say, oh yeah, we need to reach out of state for so many people. I mean, it's great to have 1 or 2 people from, other states and other Masonic jurisdictions to come in and give us a great deal of expertise. But, Texas MasoniCon it's about, I think it should be about Texas, and it should be about the great thinkers and the great Masons that we have here in our state available to us at a moment's notice. And we clearly, have a great plethora of resources to draw from.
Yeah, I was going to say,
we are blessed.
It's kind of in the name, isn't it? Texas MasoniCon. And we love listening to our brethren from out of state. But, hey, plane tickets are expensive, and we do want to focus on the wealth of information that we have in here, just because there, like you said, Evie, there's a deep pool that you don't have to cross state borders for.
Yeah, and when we have the budget we'll have on MasoniCon 10, Texas MasoniCon 10, then maybe we'll fly in a few others.
Yeah, exactly. Well, and I think we can reasonably say, hey, from year to year, we'll have enough money to fly in one or two out-of-state guys, right?
Yeah.
No big deal. But, yeah, now if y'all are expecting an all-star cast of out-of-state folks all the time, then, hey, listen, this is kind of
We're
hard
gonna have
to
to
pull
charge
off.
a little bit more.
Yeah.
We got, or sell 3 times the tickets.
Or
Right.
sell 3 times the tickets, which, hey, by MasoniCon 10, maybe.
Yeah, exactly. We'll see where she goes. And,
right.
next question I had was how we identified vendors, but I think that's so similar, because again, everybody knows at least one vendor, and then you can ask them others. And most of those guys will tell you other guys they've met. But, really and truly, when it comes to vendors, that's even easier because it's just get on Facebook and look around for a minute. They're always posting their new stuff.
Mm-hmm.
And you can identify a few.
Well, also, we have the process to where if someone is interested in being a vendor for us, they can actually contact us out of the blue and say, hey, I provide this service or this product. What does it take to set up a booth? And we are willing to get back to them and say, well, tell us a little bit more about yourself. Here's some of our rules. Here's the prices per table. And so some of the vendors will come to you.
Yeah.
We had several of those this year.
Yep. Especially as the buzz creates more, because the word's out now to where I'm sure we'll have a few more when 3 rolls around.
Yeah.
So it's the same process. You just got to get on the internet and scrape it and scrape your friends for info on who they've run into. And of course, always Grand Lodge, which we need to make sure we have them on the list.
One of the things I think is really amazing is as purely as an attendee, because I went to MasoniCon last year as just an attendee, having very little to do with Fort Worth 148 at that point. The vendors are a huge asset and such a fun part of the experience to get to go around and look at things that I didn't realize that I needed. And let's be honest, I had some, we all have money in our pockets that's burning a hole in it that we need something with a square and compasses on it. So it's great to have those vendors out there that support our addiction to Masonic paraphernalia.
Yes, that's so true. There's something cool about having vendors there to browse.
Well, and then Waco 92 had an interesting bit of Texas Masonic history there, to actually see in person.
That was cool.
Tell us about the letter, Billy.
So the letter was actually written, I believe it was written by Anson Jones. It was a copy of a letter he had received where it was brothers who were talking about the formation of Holland Lodge, right? And it was from December 1835, which means it's before they actually had that first meeting where it talks about, he had received a letter. And so it actually led to an interesting conversation between Robert Marshall and myself as we were talking about what exactly does it mean? Does that mean that he already had the charter at that time? And looking back at it, it's like, no, he had dispensation, but, it was very cool to see, a firsthand account, by the people who were involved of this event that is monumental in Texas history.
Yeah, that was neat. I mean, it's kind of surreal being next to a piece of paper that's that old that was written, by Anson Jones or copied, however you say that. Yeah. But still, it was his handwriting, his efforts. Yeah, and it's crazy actually too to think about it, that people when they receive letters, they would actually copy letters to keep it for posterity.
So I mean, it makes sense, but you don't think about it, but it makes sense,
Yeah. I mean, how many of us aren't, we can't Control C, Control V to save, an email that we received.
Yep. No, and I mean, it was great to see all the vendors there. Hey, I bought 2 bags of coffee from Waco 92, so
Yes.
I've been working on the bags since then.
It's good stuff.
So
Good old busy brew.
Yeah. So if the event itself is the brain of the whole thing, I think the heart of the event is the marketing. Let's chat about that. How do we market this event?
How do you market this event? Post often and post well, we were constantly communicating about, oh, hey, we're not totally where we thought we would be with ticket sales. Let's plan, okay, day 1, let's post this. Day 2, nothing. Day 3, let's post that. Day 4, let's post that. Day 5, nothing. Day 6, let's post this, and then make a post in the evening. I mean, we were scheduling stuff out. We were saying, even if it's just a picture of a table with a glass of wine on it for the festive board, or a picture of an owl, or if it was a graphic that we put together, the planning team was just constantly communicating, just saying, okay, when do we post this?
Oh, yeah.
How many graphics do we have in stock that we can kind of keep as a backup, that kind of thing.
Oh, even when it came to talking about the speakers that we had lined up, it's like we knew, but it's like, okay, let's roll this out over 6 weeks. We'll talk about 1 speaker per week, try to help build up the hype on Facebook and the webpage.
Yeah, because there's a fine line of, there you go, of over posting to under posting, and you got to walk that line, because you don't want to overdo it, and you certainly don't want to underdo it.
Right. Yeah. You don't want people to say, oh, MasoniCon again.
Exactly. Yeah. You got to keep it fresh and good stuff coming out. I mean, Gabe was spitting out graphics left and right that were just awesome, unique to each other, but still kind of tied together with color scheme or font or whatever it may be, to where you knew it was MasoniCon stuff, to where we had a good flow of, good marketing stuff. And then we discovered green screen, and I had some fun with that. So you just got to keep that fresh when you're marketing.
Yeah, I think
one of the things that I thought was.
Oh, go for it.
I was just going to say that one of the things that I saw from talking to some of the brothers at the actual event was the way in which word of mouth played such a big role in. While it wasn't part of our necessarily planned marketing strategy, it was definitely a factor in the brethren that showed up, and how much the energy from last year played into the energy that spilled over into the attendees this year.
Absolutely.
Yeah, I agree with that.
Yeah, and word of mouth is something that's very hard to predict. It's very hard to control, and that's why your event execution itself is some of the best marketing you can possibly ever have, right? Because if your event execution is amazing, then your word of mouth advertising is probably going to be really good,
Well, after I've spent over 2 decades in customer support and customer service. And so your execution has to be good, because for every person you have who doesn't like it, they're going to tell everybody they can get their hands on. But for every person you have who likes it, they may tell 2 or 3 people at the most. So you have to provide such an experience on the positive side that it overcomes that difference, right?
Yep.
In between positive word of mouth and negative word of mouth.
And on that point, I mean, you think about if you read online reviews about a product on Amazon or a restaurant review on Yelp, we don't really, at least me personally, I scroll to the bad reviews first to see what they're complaining about.
Yeah.
It's like, okay, good review. Okay, well, what is there bad to say?
Yeah.
So that's why the more word of mouth that we can have in the positive light, it can absolutely, overpower the few and far between negative reviews.
Yeah. And thankfully, we haven't had any yet.
Exactly.
No, we've had some.
Well, I also think that we've been really good about listening back. I mean, whenever they give us something constructive, we've been really good. It gets talked about, and when people bring up those things, it doesn't fall on deaf ears.
Yeah. I think the biggest examples of that were a later start time and a longer lunch break. Last year, we did registration at 7 a.m., and we started at 8 a.m. God help us all. And we had a 1-hour lunch break. And then this year, based off of feedback that we received from attendees, we had an 8 a.m. registration, a 9 a.m. start, and an hour and a half lunch. And people really liked that. It was great, Some feedback that we've gotten this year is that buying festive board tickets was a little bit complicated. Another bit of feedback that we got was that buying vendor tickets was kind of complicated, right? And these aren't bad things. We worked with people to make these opportunities happen, right? If somebody said, hey, I'm having trouble buying this ticket, and they reached out to us, because there were people that didn't reach out to us that we were not able to help because we didn't know. But everybody that reached out to us and said, hey, I'm having trouble registering for this or registering for that, we helped them and we made it work, at least to my knowledge. And so, I think I'm happy with the way we handled it. I know that we can improve. It's not a bad thing.
Absolutely.
Right.
No.
Yeah, we are definitely we are definitely responsive, because we had a comment like at the festive board, it's like, we'll take care of that tomorrow. And it was done.
Yep.
Yeah. No doubt. We love the, constructive criticism for sure.
Yeah. And it's, it's still a learning curve for sure. I think because this is only year 2, and I don't think that any of us have really ever done this kind of thing specifically. All of us have some event planning experience. All of us have some vendor outreach experience. All of us have some fundraising experience, which, this is not a fundraiser, but your skills in marketing it, are helpful. But none of us on the team have ever done an educational conference. So this has been a really wild and very fun ride.
Yeah. So, Mark, take us through the ticket sales platform and price marketing. Kind of a quick rundown on the first year compared to the second year where we made changes and tweaked that.
Sure. So the first year we used a ticketing platform called TicketBud, and it worked okay, did the job. But after researching it and knowing through the first year some of the hiccups that we encountered, we switched it over to Eventbrite. And I know, Gabe, you got into Eventbrite toward the end and helped me with some administrative stuff. Mm-hmm. But TicketBud versus Eventbrite is night and day difference, and Eventbrite is way better. So we'll be sticking with that. Very few hiccups, much more powerful reporting, just a smoother process and better experience from the administrative side. So there's also more options, and we learned kind of how to do some things better for next year regarding those vendor tickets and the festive board tickets. So overall, not really being all that experienced in ticketing, it's a pretty easy platform to use. So as far as price marketing, we're able to set up various types of tickets with certain start dates and end dates to kind of automate some of the price tiers, you might say. Mm-hmm. So that Grand Lodge special, that was for the weekend of Grand Lodge and at a certain price. And then when that expired, it rolled into the next ticket price and ticket type, et cetera, et cetera. So then as we got closer to the event, the price went up. So Eventbrite just made that a lot easier to set up and track, and just a lot less, painful than our prior ticket platform.
Yeah. And if I remember right, last year we had two prices, like an early bird and then a door price, right?
First year. We had three. We had
early bird,
pre-purchase,
and
pre-purchase, and then a door. That's right.
Exactly. Okay.
So this year we added the Grand Lodge special.
Yeah, the fourth year, which that was obviously a stroke of genius.
Yeah. So and the fun thing about the Grand Lodge special is, I don't know that we really advertised that one a whole lot. It was legitimately just, hey, we're at the backyard celebrating Grand Lodge, and by the way, the MasoniCon tickets are on sale. And we did post about it on Facebook, but it was pretty low key.
Yeah.
And we had a bunch of people pour in from that, and it was awesome. One of the, and for any listeners that aren't familiar with our reasoning for the pricing process was that, hey, the later that people purchase tickets, the harder it is to plan the event. So that's why tickets, as the closer we got to the event, the more expensive tickets got, which I feel is fairly reasonable. But we got I don't think we got the majority of our tickets during the Grand Lodge special, but we got a good chunk. I want to say like a third of our tickets were from the Grand Lodge special.
Yeah, that's about a good estimate.
It was 20%.
20%. Okay, I'm overestimating, but yeah, it was a big, just a flash, boom, like that. It was awesome.
Yeah, for a 3-day period.
Exactly, and advertising on Facebook, and then being at the backyard at Grand Lodge, and then we had some business card sized cards that we had printed up. We were handing out. What was really cool is at the backyard, I had a couple people walk up to me, not knowing that I was on the planning team, say, "Hey, have you heard about this event that Fourth 148 is putting on?" I was like,
"Why, yes, I do." About this. Yeah, that's when you play dumb for a minute. It's like, tell me all about it.
Yeah. That's awesome. I was handing those I was handing those business cards out like candy. It was great. I loved it.
Yeah. Which reminds me, if you're going to be at Grand Lodge and you see us, ask for one of our cards. It will have the code on it.
Yes.
Yep. So we're going to go with the same. We're going to go with the same idea this year. The code will be on the cards, that kind of thing. If you're at Grand Lodge and you see us have one of the cards, feel free to pass it around to your friends and get registered for MasoniCon 2020. So.
Yes. Yep. And we're going to have new packages for that too. There'll be different programs and everything like that. So be on the lookout.
Yep.
So let's chat about the days leading up. I know we all kind of opened up with how we had the jitter, excited nervousness feeling. I don't even know what you call that feeling, because it's not nervous. It's not excited.
Anxiety.
Yeah. It's like a combination.
So, the one thing actually that kept striking me was, because this was the second time going around, when I showed up, I was like, I feel like I was much more stressed last time. I feel like there's something I'm forgetting to do, because we didn't have to throw in so much last minute planning or anything like that. It seemed like it clicked too easy.
I totally agree.
We learned a lot that first year, because I didn't see but one breakout speaker in the keynotes last year. I saw every breakout in the keynote this year. I saw every one of them. Yeah, it was awesome. And
we didn't have to do so much last minute, like, oh, hey, we need you in this room.
Mm-hmm. Yep, we definitely learned a lot. But there's always Go ahead.
One thing that helped with that too is just having a later start time, so we didn't have nearly as many late arrivals checking in. So, I was manning the check-in table, and so I only missed the first breakout session, and then saw the rest of them with you guys. So it was awesome.
Yeah, and that late start time definitely was the way to go.
In more ways than one.
Yeah, we partied too late on Friday night.
Yeah, and if the start time, the check-in time for everyone is 7. That means we're there at 6. Yeah.
Yeah, no doubt. But speaking of last minute, there's always hiccups. And of course we had one this year. Gabe, you want to go over how we overcame what it was and how we overcame it?
Well, there were a couple. The one that I immediately think of is when I there's two. There's two related to the festive board, not to the actual event. Found out like 3 days before. Hey, call the restaurant, have the room minimum, and I don't know why, but we had this communication between ourselves and the restaurant, and I had walked away from that conversation with the understanding that the room minimum could be met with food purchases. I was not correct on this, and my understanding of that conversation was erroneous. That food minimum had to be met with appetizers, drinks, alcoholic and non-alcoholic, or dessert. So it was a cost that was not what I planned. It was like $250, $275. I can't remember what, and totally unexpected. And that's one of the reasons why we were able to provide all the wine for the table, because I walked into it and I said, "Hey, listen, like I screwed up on this. We suddenly have a $250 expense out of nowhere. What do I do with this?" And so my solution was, well, we're just going to get a bottle of wine for every table. Hopefully this will be enough. And that was, it was a startling sort of thing, because all of a sudden, the festive board went kind of like this. It became this kind of unknown factor. Is this going to sink us financially? And then
you could feel Gabe's anxiety through the text message. I still remember that day.
If you've ever seen a text message that visualizes a scream, that might have been it. And then the other thing was when I asked them, "Hey, we're doing a toasting program and we're doing 7 toasts. I don't want these guys to get completely sauced. Do y'all have like double shot glasses that we can get, or even just regular shot glasses?" And they go, "For how many people?" I said, "Well, 45. "Oh, man, I'm sorry. We don't have that many shot glasses." And that confused the hell out of me, because they do have a full bar, but I think they couldn't do that many shot glasses at once for one room, which is a very reasonable policy. And so I had to go down to the Dollar Tree. And I went to the Dollar Tree and I bought 15 not just the day of, but literally the hour of, pretty much, because I got off work and first thing I did was go to the Dollar Tree. And so I ran to the Dollar Tree and I bought 15 packs of 3-pack shot glasses. I think they were doubles. And they're not shot glasses, they're dessert glasses.
That's right, yeah dessert glasses.
Dessert glasses, because God forbid we sell anything related to liquor. And I ran back to the temple, helped set up a little bit, and then we ran over to Joe T's and I unpacked everything and set it up. But I tell you what, those two, between the unexpected lack of shot glasses and me just totally tanking the festive board budget, I was going, "Oh my God, this is the worst." Rhit, it seems like you had something else in mind. What did I forget?
No, I was thinking about our scheduling mishap that you handled so eloquently, because being in that temple, we share that temple with so many other bodies.
I totally forgot about that.
Yeah, we have a central calendar we all work off of for all these bodies: Scottish Rite Shrine, Rainbow Girls, D. Malay. I mean, you name it, it's in that temple.
So we got a frantic text message from a friend of ours, and I'm not going to disclose, because this is an organization. I will be talking about some adults, but because this is an organization that deals with minors, I will not be disclosing the name of the adults either. Just my personal policy. This is one of the Masonic youth groups. I ain't going to talk about it. But anyway.
Yeah, we're not here to point fingers. We're just here to make a point that things happen and you overcome them.
So, but get a frantic
triaging.
text. We get a frantic text message from one of our friends, and he's saying, "Hey, we're doing this installation, and also it was Rainbow. That's fine. I just don't want to name any specific names. Our Rainbow group is doing installation at the temple." And okay. And he's like, it's the same day as MasoniCon. And I'm like, we have the whole building. Are you sure you want to try that? Because I don't think you have access to the building that day. And he says, well, our coordinator is like really freaking out. She had invited a bunch of people, all this. And what do we do? What do we do? And Billy and I are talking to this fellow. And I say, well, send me the assembly mom's phone number, and have her, and this is my phone number if you can't get her phone number to me right away. And less than 5 minutes later, my phone goes off, and I get a phone call from this lady, and she's very nice. I've met her a couple times in person. And she's great. I'm glad that she's one of the ladies that is in charge of dealing with our Masonic youth, right? Because she's great. But she was also very much in a panic. And she's going like, what do we do? What are our options here? Can we meet in the Fort Worth Lodge room? Da-da-da-da-da. And I said, well, listen, we've got speakers running all day in the Fort Worth Lodge room. We really can't do that. And what about the commander room? Okay, yeah, we can do the commander room, but y'all are gonna have to get out of there by 1 p.m. And I had suggested pushing back the installation until 5 p.m. or so if it was going to be in the Fort Worth Lodge room. But people had bought plane tickets and everything, so I said, okay, no, this is fine. Y'all are going to be okay in the commander room. We're going to put up signs that say, don't go up here, or you can put up signs. And I think they're the ones that ended up putting up signs that said, hey, fourth floor Rainbow Girls installation. And we got it handled within less than an hour. And this was something that was, planet crashing down kind of stuff, right?
Yeah, that
all
was
of a
a
sudden,
showstopper.
all of a sudden, the adults in charge of the Rainbow Group are panicking because they had these plans that are suddenly not going to be able to be happening. And all of a sudden, we're freaking out because we have a huge wrench thrown in the plans. And it was just a matter of finding out that, hey, this isn't really a wrench, and this isn't really a problem. We just have to approach this kind of differently. Yeah. And so it went really well. And we managed to avoid any conflict. And it was... I'm very happy with the way it turned out. But, man, that was a real surprise to get. Because we got that surprise, Wednesday before the event? Maybe.
Yeah, it was close.
It was close. It was less than a week before the event for sure. And I want to say it was like within the span of 2 to 3 days. Yeah. And it ended up fine. So I'm very happy about that. So...
No, it is funny looking back on it because the moment you find out about it, you're like, oh, my God. What are we going to do? Well, how's this going to work?
I thought you were going to exit the atmosphere.
Yeah, stuff happens.
But that's part of the fun of it too, right? Like
it is.
It wouldn't be it wouldn't be as exciting if there wasn't something that went completely sideways. Every year. And as long as it doesn't ruin the event or hurt anybody, I'm all for something going kind of sideways, right?
Yeah.
That's part of the fun of event planning.
Well, yeah, it's like the phrase goes, right? Improvise, adapt, and overcome. So,
yeah.
That's it. So, day of, Mark, what was our total body count and did we grow?
Body count or ticket sales?
We'll
cover ticket sales.
That's what I meant. Yeah.
Yeah. So last year we sold, in the way of pure attendee tickets, we sold 77 tickets last year.
Not bad.
This year we sold 100.
The number.
That is a 30% growth.
30% growth. Holy cow.
Nice.
Yep.
Yeah.
That's phenomenal.
And keep in mind, folks, that's not including speakers, event staff, vendors, that kind of thing. That's
Correct.
just attendees. So we had we had like 6 speakers. We had 4 event staff. We had 1 artist. We had multiple vendors. So, I mean, how much... We ended up having, almost 120 people there, right?
That's correct.
Something like that, yeah.
Probably in the 100 teens, 100, somewhere in there.
The high 100 teens. So, I mean, rousing success, in my opinion. Super cool.
No, 100
Absolutely.
was the number I had in my head to get to this year. And I had an inclination we sold it, and it was sold like the night before or something, because I was kind of tracking as they come in to make name tags and things, but I wasn't for sure. That's so awesome. We hit 100.
Mm-hmm. And what was interesting too is last year we had 13 of the 77 were the day of ticket sales at the door. This year we had only 2.
Awesome.
So
really,
almost everybody came in having already purchased their ticket.
Oh, very
Good work, brothers.
so that's kind of awesome because it means our advertising is kind of reaching people. So that's cool.
Yeah, and that's why we probably didn't run out of food either.
Yeah. For anyone that does not know, last year when we ran MasoniCon, we had a buffet line set up, and we were I can't remember where we were catering from, but it was
barbecue.
It was barbecue, and we had divided it into 2 tracks just because we were getting very ambitious. And I think track B or whatever was up there, and I was one of the event coordinators that was with that group herding everyone throughout the building. And we were up there talking with one of the speakers, doing kind of like a post Q&A, right? And we say, oh yeah, we're just going to be like 5 minutes late, whatever, no big deal. And we walked in maybe about 10 minutes late. It was not terribly late, I remember. And we walk in, and there's no food at all. It's all gone. And I'm going, what's happening here? And we had to send our stewards out to run to Chicken Express and buy as much Chicken Express.
Come on.
Oh, it was Gus's?
Yes.
We had to.
But we called ahead. We
Yeah.
called ahead and we said,
Gus's.
how many bags or boxes of chicken can you make in 20 minutes? And they were like, what?
And it was a nightmare. So these poor guys are, hauling ass trying to get to Gus's as fast as they can. And, Gus's is there trying to make as much chicken as they possibly can within 0 minutes, basically. And they run back to the temple, and they've got just boxes and boxes and boxes of fried chicken.
And they were literally hauling, because on Google Maps, just the drive time alone there and back was going to be about 22 minutes, not including getting out and getting the chicken, getting back in the car. He made it back in 18.
Yeah. So it was kind of crazy. And this year we were really lucky, and we were very successful with the lunch. So that was something that I was very happy about. The only hiccup that we ran into this year was that people queued on either side of the table, which meant that the line was going twice as fast as our catering team thought it was going to go, which was kind of a challenge. So we had to slow people down. But even then, it still went just fine. And we had very little leftover food, but also we didn't run out. And that was something I was very happy about. We planned really close.
No doubt. That was good. It was a good meal, too.
So this year was better than one, I think.
Oh, yeah. The meal for sure, because it's just how smooth it went. No doubt. I'm all for using those guys again next year. No doubt about it.
Yeah.
So,
Totally agree.
I not that one speaker was better than the other, but do you guys have any particular parts or speakers that stood out to you in particular? You personally.
Yeah.
Not that they were better, just personal.
So, if you don't mind me speaking first, actually, all of them were phenomenal, right? Every single one of them. I really liked the way Paul Rana was the first one of the day.
Oh,
Mhm.
And I feel like he started it out perfectly.
into the deep end.
Well, I mean, getting everyone to actually stand up and go through a couple of motions, which helped engage everybody. I felt like it was the best possible kickoff to the day.
Mhm.
Yeah, no, I totally agree. He got us up doing some breathing techniques and moving and help you wake up and get that coffee where it needs to be.
Yeah.
It was also kind of interesting to see people's reaction to the very heavily esoteric underpinnings of what he presented, and you could kind of feel some of the non-esoteric Masons in the room kind of drawing back a little bit, but still going with the flow and just going and figuring it out as they're kind of going along.
Yeah,
That was kind of cool.
Well, and one thing I noticed too, and I looked around at some brothers that I thought may not be into it as much, but they were
totally into it.
Yeah, with everyone else, and I was like, "This is fantastic."
I mean,
yeah, that was the fun part, is seeing non-esoteric Masons. I mean, Masons that I know for sure are not down with this whole esoteric thing that there has kind of been a trend in the Masonic world about, especially in Masonic education, towards the esoteric, and seeing these brothers being on board, maybe not willing to dive in head first, but they're at least dipping their toes into this esoteric thing. And it was really interesting, and I think it speaks to Brother Rana's presentation skills, because he really presented it in a really a way that made it accessible even to the non-esoteric Masons.
Yeah,
I think you're right. It was easily digestible, as deep as it was.
And so for anybody that's wondering what Brother Rana's presentation was about, it was about a lot of things, but it was about primarily the French Martinist current of esoteric thought in France, or specifically in French Masonry, and how it related to the Ilukoans, to the rectified Scottish Rite, the end of the strict observance. I mean, it was in deep, and we, when you're starting your day out with a translated mystic prayer from a super high grade Christian occultic rite of Masonry, like, I mean, we're in the deep end, man. Like, you're not coming back. It was cool.
Yeah.
Well, and that was the fun part, because it was deep end stuff, but it was, I don't know, he just had this way of presenting that deep end information in a way that didn't make it feel like we were diving head first into the 12-foot end of our swimming pool. It really felt like we were, still, just kind of hanging out in the kiddie pool side. But you knew as you're going through it and you're hearing his presentation that this is some really, really heavy hitting stuff, like really, really heavy. I keep saying that. I was really blown away by it, actually.
Yep. So we got Billy's favorite speaker of the day. Mark, what about your favorite speaker?
Well, I wouldn't say favorite, but I feel like that was
okay.
my favorite moment, right?
That's
Because
his cop out, y'all.
No, he was all fantastic.
No, I'm kidding.
And see, that was the one I missed. I was still downstairs, so
Yeah. Oh,
but I heard great
we'll have to
things
get
about
Paul
it.
to come back and give that talk again. It was cool.
And this is probably the hardest question we'll have this whole episode. It's really hard to pick a favorite. I think one thing that stood out to me was Jim Rumsey's presentation and how engaging he was, just literally walking around the room and making eye contact with brethren.
Yeah.
Everybody presents differently in their style. But he also didn't really rely on PowerPoint for his particular talk. Didn't really have a slideshow.
Yeah.
So that kind of lent itself to a different kind of more walking, talking style. But it was just really engaging. And it was kind of bookended by two presentations that were maybe a little heavier on both the kind of the esoteric and deeper thinking topics, as well as slides. So it was really good to have him in the middle of those two to break it up.
That's a good point. Yeah, because we had Kevin Main before and Joseph Wages afterwards, who are two extremely heady Masons.
Yes.
And they're both good presenters, but you can't look away for a minute. And, you got to be watching and paying attention to follow, because they are spitting information like a fire hose.
Absolutely. So I think just having that different style right in the middle of that kind of stood out to me, just to break it up.
Yeah.
But, it's
I also think that Brother
go ahead.
Rumsey's approach to, you really had to kind of pay attention, because you never know when he's going to call somebody out in the crowd and just kind of put them on the spot. And I really love that about presentations, whenever you have to stay on your toes. But it wasn't because, it was like the teacher sitting up there wagging his finger. It was genuinely fun and engaging. And it was about a subject that, is kind of a hot button topic, the whole committee on work, how the evolution of ritual and how we do things. And there's so much talk about that in so many Masonic forums, that to hear it presented in a really lighthearted way, it really was fun, and I appreciated it a lot.
Yeah, I saw a lot of eyes perk up when he started talking about how often and throughout history our ritual has been changed, and the significant changes that have went into it just here in Texas, because there's a lot of guys that think that this ritual's never been touched, and that cannot be further from the truth.
There's a joke that we share with some of our private friends, a private friends group, where we talk about how when Moses came down with the 10 Commandments in his right hand, he had the Texas Monitor in his left hand.
No
I'd like to say
changes.
that we've shared an image, but there may be one that exists.
There may be an image of Moses with the Texas Monitor.
I know there's a meme out there.
Yeah. But yeah, no, Jim was incredibly engaging, and I mean, every time I've seen him give a talk on any subject, I mean, the man just knocks it out of the park. And
yeah,
a big part of it is just that he's really funny, right? And it's just like, hey, listen, ritual changes are simultaneously a hot button topic, but also a little bit dry, because the process of changes in ritual are interesting. The process of it is not always so. Although when you're there in the Grand Lodge, when it's actually happening, it is exciting as hell. So that is kind of different, But he's just really engaging, looks you right in the eye, says funny things, and gets responses from the crowd actively. He engages with audience members in terms of like back and forth. Very cool. So.
And he has a way of, he takes the work seriously, but he doesn't take himself and others seriously. It's a really rare combination.
That is a good observation. Yeah.
Well, and to be somebody who has that amount of information just at his disposal at the drop of a hat, I mean, you could tell that he's probably forgotten more about Freemasonry, Masonic procedure, Grand Lodge procedures than I'll probably ever know. And that is something that is pretty amazing, to be able to just spit off these bits of information, because he was walking around with a couple of notes in his hand. He definitely wasn't reading from a prepared speech, and to have the degree of precise information he had at his disposal, I mean, hats off.
Yeah.
There's a right worshipful brother by the name of Reese Harrison who you would like to talk to at some point, because he has the exact same uncanny ability to just pull knowledge from the ether, like he's got it right in his hand. It's crazy. So hey, we've got a lot of talented historians in this grand jurisdiction. It's awesome.
Yeah. Evve, did you have one that spoke to you?
Well, I have to say, without a doubt, that the two, I can't narrow it down to one. Our keynote, S. Brent Morris, phenomenal speaker. He had so much information and so many things to say about where our future is as Freemasons are going to come from, how it's going to grow, if it's going to grow. That information is just, I hope that a lot of people at Grand Lodge and a lot of people around the country get to hear him speak, because he's got his fingers on the pulse of something by looking at a lot of historical data. And I have to say that it was eye-opening, to say the least. His throughput methodology is just, it's I don't know if I could say cutting edge, because it seems like it should be something that has been around, that everyone should be looking at in Grand Lodges, and making sure that we're not leaving, brothers in the dust. And that seems to be what we're doing.
Yes.
According to his data. And that is, that's a shame, and shame on us for it. I think Brother Kevin Main, his really, really deep philosophical conversation was very interesting for a number of reasons. And it takes on a subject that I don't know that we talk a lot about, knowledge and how we acquire it, and how we should, assemble our lives in light of that knowledge. And I thought that his presentation was dense, but nicely so. I enjoyed it.
His talks always impress me because there's something practical in them. Like,
Yep.
A lot of guys you'll go listen to, it's like, oh man, that's some really cool information. I'm glad to know that. Kevin speaks and it's like, oh, I'm going to work on this. I'm going to start doing this different, or you just see it in a different light. And it's something you end up using almost on a daily basis.
Yeah, there was something he took something that is, philosophy, existentialism. Those are big words that, you hear them and suddenly people's eyes glaze over the moment you say it. But he found a way to turn that into a uniquely Masonic message that is relevant to every Mason in the room. And while I know that not everybody in the room was probably as entertained by the depth of how far he went into it, I think that it was, I loved it, and I guess that's really all that matters, is my opinion.
Yeah,
that's all that matters. You're exactly right.
that was a great talk, because it was very challenging. I was sitting there, and it was challenging in the level of complexity that he was tackling on it, because while I love esoteric material and I love digging into ritual rabbit holes and stuff, and I have all this like little factoids about Masonry and stuff, and in terms of actual philosophy and stuff, I'm not particularly well read. I'm not what I would describe as a very well read individual in general. And so most of my knowledge is acquired from talking with other brothers and then going to textbooks and stuff like that once I've talked to people and gotten kind of a verbal cue. Walking into this presentation that Kevin gave about existentialism in Masonry, I was pretty much over my head, but it was still at a rate that I could absorb. And it was also challenging a lot of my preconceptions of Freemasonry, because he has a point. Masonry often tends to be biased towards a Neoplatonic school of thought or an idealist school of thought, where everything else is built off of the idea of what something is, as opposed to us of the experience of what something is. So it was challenging. I liked that. That was cool.
I agree. I think that's exactly what I took from it as well. But with Kevin, I've heard him speak a couple of times, and every time that he speaks, he has these little ways of dropping like wisdom bombs on you, and it is, I don't know if I don't get to sit and lodge with him on a regular basis, but if he's not dropping those knowledge and wisdom bombs on people on a regular basis, he's definitely a valuable asset to his lodge in that regard, because the dude, he's a thinker, and I definitely appreciate that.
After John Tolbert's talk, I'll never look at an image of the Cult of Mithras the same way again.
Oh my God. That was great.
I don't think anybody else in that room will either.
No.
Yeah. That scorpion, that was really something.
Right.
Yeah, for anybody that doesn't know what we're talking about, the Cult of Mithras slide that was up on the background was of the hero wrestling this bull to the ground while somebody else stabs the bull in the neck. And for some reason, a scorpion is stinging the bull's nuts. I just don't have a good explanation for that. And obviously there's got to be some symbolism behind it that I'm just not smart enough yet to figure out, or that I haven't bothered researching. But we had a good laugh about that because we were like, look at the scorpion. I mean,
we suddenly become a room of 13-year-old boys in there.
Yeah.
No, I mean, it was great.
We're making testicle jokes.
I mean, how often do you get that opportunity, really? So that was great. It was very fun.
Well, Rhit, who did you say was your favorite?
For me, Brent Morris. I've always been into, I say always, more recently been into membership and statistics and things like that. And his throughput method is actually something that I've been looking at, because our Grand Lodge puts out numbers of, initiated, passed, and raised, but they don't do the percentage of EAs that make it there. You've got to get the data and figure that out on your own. So I've always been interested in that, and the trends that throughout history where bursts have come in and come away. But when he talked about, war not actually being a big proponent and growing Freemasonry, it just like completely intrigued me. The World War I boom being tied into the backlog of Depression era EAs that finally made it through. I mean, it was just so eye-opening of what actually makes our membership tick. And he's pretty much saying what we've been saying and preaching all along is not the case. That there's something deeper that we're missing.
Yeah, it was interesting to hear that all. You hear it all the time. Oh, when there's war, the guys come back and they're looking for that camaraderie that they had in the field, and they come to Masonry, and it's like, not really. If you actually dig into the numbers a bit.
Yeah.
The interesting thing about him in his presentation was that number.
Yeah, that was the neat thing about Brent's presentation was, hey, all the conventional wisdom you have, yeah, that's wrong, and I have the data to prove it. That was,
the
it's
numbers
just
don't back it up.
It was just very factual, and it was kind of crazy because, as somebody who is, as one of the organizers for Texas MasoniCon, I'm really more of the romantic school of thought, right? If I want the authentic school of, I would go to the TLR meetings where they do a lot of history and statistics and analysis and stuff. And I walked into that going, oh my God, what's going on here? This is amazing. It was great, so it was a very hardline, authentic school of thought presentation, and I loved it. So yeah, hard data, man. That's where it's at.
No doubt. I mean, the fact that his throughput method that he talked about, the national average of EAs making it to master is 68%. And here in Texas last year, it was 51%, which is unbelievable.
Brutal.
And we're preaching, every Grand Lodge is preaching how we need to get new members in. Well, we're not even keeping the ones we're getting. We're letting half of them go.
Right.
When do we address that problem?
Yeah, that was the crazy thing, to think that half of all entered apprentices that you initiate won't be Master Masons. That was insane. I'm like, what is happening here? How are we mistreating our entered apprentices this badly, right? That was kind of my thought.
Yeah.
It was, to a certain extent, I walked out of that feeling a little bit guilty almost, even though, I don't know that I've done anything wrong, but I walked out of that going, oh my God, we need to try better.
How can I be? Yeah.
How can I be
better?
In a world where you can't go to a Masonic forum or a Masonic podcast or a Masonic website without somebody extolling and beating the dead horse, membership. How do we solve this problem? Everyone has an opinion. But what I really loved about Brother Morris's presentation was he backed it up with numbers, and opinions be damned.
Yeah.
He showed us exactly what the problem is. He gave us the formula for what we need to see and to open our eyes to the future of Freemasonry, and it's up to us to do that. And I hope, like I said earlier, I hope that people at the lodge level and at the Grand Lodge level are paying attention to what he's telling us, because he's got his fingers on the pulse of something, and that is what we need to be paying attention to if we want to survive and thrive in the 21st century and beyond.
Yeah.
Right.
And if you want to get into detail about his speech, it was all based on his book called A Radical in the East. And I'm pretty for sure it's on Amazon, but grab it.
Yeah.
It goes into detail about his speech, and it's very eye-opening.
A Radical in the East. So make sure you buy that. I've started working through it. It's good.
It was interesting to have that, rather than worrying about what you don't have, what are you doing with what you do have?
Yeah.
Ooh, good take.
Yep. Gabe, did you say your pick?
I did not.
Come on, spit it out.
It would easily be a tie between Paul Rana and Jim Rumsey. I have to say a tie just because the presentation matter was so wildly different. But I really enjoyed their material, and I really enjoyed their presentation style. So,
without going into a lot of detail, how do you guys feel like we can improve for next year?
I would really love to see a discussion panel. And the discussion panel, I would really, in my rainbow and unicorn dreams of perfection, I would love to see a panel discussion on the Committee on Work, because I think that there are a lot of brothers out there that have questions about how things are getting done and how those conversations are being had. And I think that there's a way to get that committee out in front of people and kind of demystify it, because frankly, I don't know the ins and outs of it and how they make these decisions and how we can affect the changes that people are wanting to see. So that would be a fun panel discussion if it was handled properly.
Yeah. Yeah. Because there's a lot of rumors and mysticism around them, and it can be dispelled pretty easily.
Absolutely.
Gabe, Billy, Mark?
Well, we talked about a couple of improvements on the ticketing side, just to make the user experience of getting tickets and getting signed up, better for all the brothers, especially for the festive board and the vendors. So we're going to take that constructive criticism and feedback that we received, which is very useful. So thank you to everybody that provided that, and make those improvements in this next year's ticketing.
Sweet. Billy, Gabe, you got anything?
Yeah, so for me, one thing I think is something we are working on for next year, and that was the idea of having different packages, right? So that if you buy one package, maybe you get something that is branded, like some conferences I go to, if I buy a silver level, I just get my badge. But if I buy gold level, then, not only do I get my badge, but I also get, maybe a book or a t-shirt or, something specific to that. I like the idea of having different ticket tiers.
Yeah.
Because some people are really into that, right? Some people want those collectibles,
Yeah.
So really that's I guess the only thing I could really think of right off the top of my head. And it's something we have already talked about.
Yeah. I'll be surprised if we don't work that in next year. Because I'm with you.
I.
Yeah.
Yeah. I mean, that's kind of the same. Pretty much everything that has been mentioned so far is something that I've been either approached on or have thought of. The discussion panel. Evve and I talked about that the other day, and I thought it would be really interesting. Streamlining ticketing. That's something else that we've talked about, and that I have been reached out to on. And ticket packages, right? Where somebody mentioned, hey, what about a merch package? Their proposition was not that we have tiered tickets that have like different levels of merch included, but that you could just get a merch add-on to whatever ticket you purchased. So hey, like you buy, you're still buying the Grand Lodge special or the Early Bird special or whatever, and then your add-on is like the Texas MasoniCon merch special, and it's like a T-shirt and a firing glass, right, for the festive board. Something that has been brought up repeatedly, which I am super into, is little stuffed owls for MasoniCon. Because if any of y'all haven't seen, the emblem that we use is a great horned owl inside of a square and compass. And so, this has been brought up by multiple guys, one of which is Robert Marshall. Hey, you should sell commemorative stuffed toy owls, like kind of like a Beanie Baby type thing. And I was like, I was thinking about that, and I was going, oh my God, that's amazing. Because I would buy one. I would want one. Like, it's silly, but I like it. I'm just going, oh yeah, we could have a little owl with the square and compass on it, and it would be the MasoniCon owl. For anybody that's listening, the Texas bobbleheads. We could have bobbleheads of Rhit.
Masonic bobbleheads.
We could have bobbleheads of Rhit specifically. Well, he's got a big enough head, right?
Yeah.
But
he's a living bobblehead. What are you talking
about? He's a living bobblehead. But yeah, no, I'm one of the advertising guys, so talk to me about merch, man. I'm into it. Let's do this. For our listeners, the MasoniCon owl does not have a name yet, and I've been wanting to name him. I haven't thought of any names. I've just
thought of that too.
I've had a couple of names rattling around in my head, some of which are stereotypical to Texas, some of which are stereotypical to Masonry, and I haven't decided on any. So if you want to send us any name suggestions for the MasoniCon owl, I'm pretty sure I've figured out what I want to call him, but if anybody has a better idea, I will gladly take it. So, yeah, that's where I'm at. Advertising and merch, man.
Interesting. And on that note,
and a more highfalutin festive board.
Yes, absolutely.
Nice.
And to go along with your merch, Rhit and I talked about this a lot too, but at the merch table that we were running, it was pretty much just books and 3 or 4 different MasoniCon branded things. But we really want to provide a more robust array and selection of books.
Yes.
So that's definitely on the list for next year.
Yep. Those were a big hit.
One of the things I can definitely see us doing as well is really embracing the technology aspect of conference events. And I think, without getting into anything specific, I know that the topic has come up about ways in which we can better facilitate the conference attendee experience by including more technology and more ways for people to interact digitally.
Yeah. No, I completely agree. Schedules and stuff like that, we could make it so easy. And for me, that's precisely because I think we have the engine to make us go. We've got the body of the car, and now it's time to put some chrome on it, because for me, the name badges, I want to make them bigger and better next year.
The chrome.
Yeah, the book sales, beef those up. We've really got a good formula to be successful. That just needs a little shine on it now.
Yeah, and the book sales, I think, was something really great too, because the MasoniCon table was facilitating all the sales of any books that our speakers brought. So for next year, just know that when you're at the Texas MasoniCon table and you're buying a book that has been written by one of our speakers, all of those profits go to the speaker, because we're not even donating it to them. We're directly selling it on their behalf. So it's not something that we're donating this to them. We are really facilitating them. So they work real hard. They travel a lot. Masonry is very expensive once you become an educator and a speaker, because you're not always going to get comped for your travel, and you're going to have to buy some expensive plane tickets sometimes. And we're lucky in that we can comp our speakers for their travel, but not everybody else is. So, if you want to invite a speaker out to your lodge, just know that, try and chip in with.
And if I could throw this out there as well, if a brother is out there at MasoniCon and they have the wherewithal to stand up in front of a group of 100, 120 Masons that have different perspectives, and they put together a book and they get it published, I think that we should definitely encourage people to be buying those books. And if anybody we've talked about today, I know Brother S. Brent Morris has a book. I know a couple of the other presenters have some books as well. But that was one of the things that I went and bought every one of the books that the speakers brought with them, because I think it's important that we support them and their endeavors of education. And the only way that we can do that is by going to these sorts of events and purchasing their books. And I am in no way being told to say that or getting a kickback from it. I just think it's just like we support podcasts and just like we support our own personal lodges, we need to support those educators and those presenters that are out there doing the hard work of bringing great education to all of these cons out there.
Yep. Agreed.
100%.
So let's wrap this up and talk about Texas MasoniCon 2020. We've already got the date planned.
July 25th.
Yes, sir. That's the date of the event. The festive board will be the night before. So,
of course.
It's no longer just that single day. So make plans for that. And while MasoniCon, there's not really any worry about it selling out. The festive board, you got to be on your game. Yeah. There's no telling what the seating will be.
Yeah, this year we have.
Ask me how I know.
Sad violin. We're sorry, Evve. But yeah, no. So this year the seating was limited to 45. Obviously, because we sold out, the goal will be to find that or better. However, it just depends entirely on the venue. If we find a place that can only accommodate 30, but we really feel that this is going to be a good festive board at that venue, then we're only going to sell 30. If we find a place that seats 60 or 80 people, and we think we're going to have a great time at this place, then that's going to be the place. Details will be forthcoming, not right now, because the Texas MasoniCon owl is asleep, and so is Gabe. So, as a junior warden, I do all our food now that Rhit has retired, and so I like to think that I'll be able to execute this well. But I'm also trying not to worry about it right now, because right now I'm trying to take care of the lodge, not just MasoniCon. So yeah, although it is very rewarding, I'm getting very good at event planning. I'll tell you that.
Yeah. So I don't have the exact date in front of me, but I know tickets are going to go on sale the same time. We're going to do the Grand Lodge special.
Yep, Grand Lodge special.
Are we going to do that? We're going to start them Thursday that week or Friday?
No, it'll be midnight when Friday starts.
Yeah. So Thursday night, Friday morning, midnight.
Correct.
Yeah.
Correct.
Gotcha. Okay. So, we'll run that through Sunday?
Correct. Yeah, Sunday, 11:59 p.m.
Yeah. There you go. There's your window for Grand Lodge special. After that, you get early birds.
Yeah.
And if you go to TexasMasonicon.com, it does say register on January 16th. So it's going to be midnight of January 16th that we're actually going to start that ticket sale.
Yeah.
Sweet.
And just so you guys know, that is when we're going on sale. We will not start selling tickets for Texas MasoniCon before that point in time. We want to make sure that by the time that we start selling tickets for Texas MasoniCon, that we have 95% of everything set in place, right? We don't want to sell you a ticket to something that we cannot guarantee. So we won't go on sale until Grand Lodge.
Good point.
Yeah, I'd like to think that we're very serious about offering a very good quality product.
Yeah, agreed.
Absolutely.
And Billy mentioned to find us at TexasMasonicCon.com. We've got a Facebook page and Instagram. Details will be pushed out there. If you get on Facebook once a month, you're going to see something we're posting, I'm sure.
Yeah.
More green screen.
Yes, it's coming. I'm getting good at it. All right, boys, let's wrap this up. Gabe, you want me to give the quote?
Sure.
Okay, this quote, what is this? Quote of the bye week is what we should say. Because we don't do this weekly. So quote of the bye week is by Brother Harry S. Truman. Men make history and not the other way around. In periods where there is no leadership, society stands still. Progress occurs when courageous, skillful leaders seize the opportunity to change things for the better. I thought it's kind of fitting because we seized an opportunity here for sure.
Not to toot our own horn too hard, but yeah, I think so.
It's all on the backs of the brothers that attend it, because it wouldn't be anything without attendees. So, yeah, but we just right place, right time, and took advantage of it.
So if we want to do closing thoughts, let's do Rhit, Billy, Evve, Mark, and then I'll close us out and then give contact info.
Okay. So closing thoughts for me is that, man, I totally enjoyed the event and the speakers and everything else, but the feeling that you get after pulling something like this off and knowing so many guys enjoyed it, it was just beyond humbling and really gets you juiced up to do more. So while not everybody has the opportunity or the facilities that we have to do something on such a big scale, it doesn't really matter. If you put something together and you watch a brother walk out of a presentation, if it's just one and his chin's dragging on the floor from just such awesomeness, it gives you a warm, fuzzy feeling that you can't get any other way. So look for these opportunities, bros, and hop on it.
I think for me, it's, even though for this event, I volunteer my time and my equipment, it is incredibly satisfying to be able to do work and enjoy myself so much while I'm doing that work. It's a rare feeling, and it's one of the things that definitely has me signed on for the long run. So, and not only that, but the brothers that we get to meet and talk with, sit down and have lunch that I wouldn't have met, anywhere else. If they wouldn't have come to MasoniCon, I think it's a fantastic bonding experience. I always come away feeling like I've learned a ton, and I have, a full page or two of notes of stuff to look up as soon as I get home. So it's a fantastic thing to be able to do something and get as much out of it as you give into it, if not more.
Well, final thoughts for me. I really think that Texas MasoniCon it's that moment in the quarries that we all talk about, where we are really shaping our Masonic edifices, and it on both sides of the coin as an attendee, it is an amazing experience. I love going to it. I love hearing every speaker, soaking up all of their knowledge. Everything that I get out of it, and being at such an intimate gathering where you can actually talk to the speakers after they've given a presentation. You're not isolated from them. There's no need for backstage passes. You have the ultimate front row seat to some of the best Masonic education out there, and that's really rewarding as an attendee. And as someone who's a part of a lodge that gets to put this on, to see the culmination of the lodge coming together and working in the quarries to put something like this together for the state of Texas, and brothers as far away as, I think, what do we have, Gabe? A couple of brothers from Nebraska this year, I think, was our longest travelers. That sort of thing is really rewarding, that we're touching the Masonic careers of so many people, and it's rewarding on multiple layers, and I'm so honored to be a part of it. And I would encourage everyone out there that if you have an opportunity, mark those calendars, get those tickets. We're making it as easy as we possibly can for you, and as affordable as possible to get out and enjoy the brotherhood, the fellowship, the education, the esoterics, everything that Masonry has to offer. So that's my final thoughts.
Wow, where to even begin? Very similar to Rhit, just being part of the team to plan such an awesome event and get the feedback that we get. And like Billy said, to put in the time and work on our personal time, and it'd be so rewarding and enjoyable, and to enjoy the conversations and idea sharing amongst the team, and then to see that come to fruition, it's an awesome feeling. I know the day and even a couple days after both MasoniCons so far, it's like a huge weight off your shoulders from, months and months of planning. And it's also kind of a crash, like finishing a semester or a year of school, after finals. It's just like, wow, that last week is kind of the sprint at the end. And then the day of is awesome and exciting, but a little exhausting too. So, but it definitely keeps us coming back for more, for sure. And for me, I'm not really a ritualist. I'm more into the esoteric side, but also the social side of Masonry. So for me, this event, both years, I've gotten more out of it from the camaraderie and brotherhood and meeting, all the brothers that I wouldn't have met otherwise. Very similar to, the Grand Lodge annual communication sessions for me, talking to brothers from other lodges, even if it's in the same district or, another county, but, talking to brothers from Nebraska this year. And in the first year, we had a couple of brothers from Mexico, I believe. So, just getting to know guys who are coming from completely different styles and cultures of their lodges, but you still have that same, baseline of Masonry going through, pretty much the same exact ritual. There's some nuances and differences based on jurisdiction, but it's really awesome. So to be able to be part of the team to plan and execute this event, and improve, 30% growth year over year, and all the changes and improvements that we've been talking about, that fire is definitely lit. So I'm in.
Nice.
Yeah, what a ride. I remember the festive board was winding down, and we were all kind of leaving the restaurant, and I was driving home, and I remember having this very intense, weird, emotional moment on my drive back home, where I went, it was this overwhelming sort of sensation where I went, oh my God, this is real. I didn't happen last year. I didn't have this sensation last year. But the reality that we have created this thing that lives and that other people enjoy and that is providing value to people that we care about hit me like a sack of bricks. And it was beautiful, but also really brutal, because I was not expecting to have a whole lot of emotions on my drive home, and then I did, and it was very wonderful. So I enjoyed that. I'm very optimistic about the future of this event. I am so happy that we got involved with this idea, with this effort, where we said, hey, what if we did this? And then we went and actually did it, and it's so cool. It's just, I feel like a little kid when I talk about MasoniCon or Texas MasoniCon, because somebody will ask me about it, and I get all giddy, and I go, oh, yeah, let me tell you about this. This is awesome. Like, you won't believe it. So I'm just glad to be a part of this. It's so cool. So
It's good stuff.
yeah, brethren, if you want to learn more about Fort Worth Lodge, you can find us at www.fortworth148.org. You can find us on Facebook at Fort Worth Lodge 148. Our email is fortworthlodge148@gmail.com. So that's a different email than we've used in the past. So fortworthlodge148@gmail.com. And you can find more information about Texas MasoniCon at texasmasonicon.com. But the owl is asleep right now, so don't worry about it. We'll announce speakers and stuff later on.
Yes, we will. Alrighty, gentlemen, it's been fun. It's time to wrap this bad boy up. This is Rhit Moore signing off.
This is Billy Hamilton signing off.
This is Evve Kuykendall signing off.
This is Gabriel Jagush signing off.
This is Mark McCaghren signing off.